Saturday is
All right, can we just stand up and pledge, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if everyone could just check their cell phones, make sure they're either off or on silent, that would be great. I would like a motion to accept the minutes from September 5th, 2017, and also September 13th, 2017, the budget meeting.
I make the motion.
Second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Correspondence, Kathleen?
I have a budget modification for the highway department, a copy of the Halloween curfew, supervisor's report for August, police monthly report for August, a notice of public hearing for the town of Mamakating regarding their comprehensive plan, another notice of public hearing for town of Mamakating regarding the moratorium on applications for certain land uses. Email from Cypress Creek Renewables. Correspondence from the highway superintendent with pictures regarding their forestry grant, pictures of the trees that are planted. Email regarding the proposed pilot agreements for Pearson Solar Farm, and email regarding a highway grievance. That's all that I have.
Thanks, Kathleen. Committee reports. What do you got, Don?
I have no report. Nothing's changed in 2 weeks.
All right, Janet?
Just a reminder that the planning board meeting is Monday night, the 25th, at 7 o'clock, and no change with, or no report from the library about carts, still open 27th.
Thanks, Janet. Brian?
I don't have much tonight. Football had a fundraiser. I unfortunately was out of town, so I didn't get the results of what that was, but that's all I pretty much have.
While we're on football, maybe if we print up something, there's issues with the parking again already.
Okay.
Maybe they could post something over there, or, right?
Well, there are people parking on the grass again. There are signs, they did make announcements, and people still refuse to move, so I think we wrote 9 tickets, some parking tickets. I don't know if it's, I know last year Dean set it up so they can actually walk across the street.
Yeah, they can park.
So there's plenty of parking, I just don't think people wanna walk. And I went up there myself, there are 2 or 3 signs that say no parking on the grass, and people are still parking. But again, I don't know if it's the outer, the away team people, or what.
It probably is. The only reason I say that is I'm sure if someone got a ticket, they would have been gone. But that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it. Listen, they've been pretty,
Yep,
absolutely.
no problem, thanks.
Matt?
Okay, the comprehensive plan meeting will be October 19th, 5 p.m. here at the town hall. Just a little information that we're almost at the conclusion to the first half of the project, comprehensive plan. The second half will be the zoning aspect. So hopefully the committee will be prepared to present the draft at the October 19th meeting. And also, Veterans Day is coming up. We're going to have the Veterans Day Parade on Saturday, November 11th, 11 a.m. It's going to go from start off at the Otisville Firehouse, go across the bridge on Highland, down Main Street to the Veterans Park, where there'll be a little gathering and celebration to conclude there. And that's Saturday, November 11th. And that's it.
Thanks, Matt. Just a couple things that I have. Paul, would you just give that to Dean? This is Liam's phone number there.
I just texted.
Okay, perfect. I got a voicemail from Leon, which was one of the organizer for the Moon Festival, telling me that they had 2,250 visitors, which they kind of counted as they came in. A couple little issues that they're working out with Dean as far as the spray paint on the pavement and whatever. So they thought the whole event went well. I was up there around 2 o'clock. It was really, really hot, but it was very busy. So it was nice to see everybody up there. It was a great gathering. And between Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all of the newsletters went out, so hopefully, if everyone didn't get them, they'll be receiving them within a day or two. And that's all I have. Dean, you're up.
I have nothing new to report.
All right. How are we doing on salt? I see a lot of those trucks coming in.
Our first order has been completed. We got about 275 ton in. I won't order any more until after cleanup days, which cleanup days are the first 2 weekends in October. Everything is lined up. We've gotten, I think, 3 or 4 calls for pickups from seniors already. It's all coming together.
Are those highway trucks that we put the new systems on, did you find a big difference with them, or?
We saw a difference. I can't say we saw a big difference because we didn't have any quick events. By the time we got to one, it was March, and the only storm we really had was a major snowstorm.
Okay.
And with that storm, once it stopped snowing, everything melted nice.
Okay. And what's the difference, like, running that truck compared to the other? More expensive? A lot more expensive? Cheaper?
It should be cheaper.
Okay, good.
The big advantage is our roads should be cleaner. We won't have the sand on them that builds up and runs down in people's yards and makes a mess out of our cars every storm we go out.
Is game plan to do a few a year?
Yes.
Okay.
Next week, the third truck will go up and be outfitted, and then that'll probably be it until after winter. We'll probably try to get another 3 done next year.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Fire department, what is the fire department?
I want to add one thing about that.
Sure.
They're doing a blood drive, a week from this Wednesday, the 27th, from 1:30 to 7:30. So I know it's on our town Facebook page because I put it there, and I know they have a big sign up in front of the firehouse, so come out and donate blood.
Oh, positive.
There you go.
All right. Police, Paul?
Just the Moon Festival went very well. There's no issues on our end. We'll be sending them a bill, which Carol will calculate tomorrow. It's payroll day, so she'll get that out to them soon. And we did meet with the up at Dragon Springs. They have some trespassing ongoing issues, which we're trying to address with them. I think more of it is just the people cutting through as opposed to deliberately trespassing on their property, or more so using the railroad bed as an ATV pass through. But we met with them, we had a nice meeting, and we'll be trying to work with them. And, other than that, I have nothing unless anyone has any questions.
Village of Otisville, everybody is on the trip. Bob, you're up.
I'm attempting to fill in for Diane, and I'm advised we have nothing to report. So that would be easy.
All right. Business. David, I know I emailed you today very early. I had got an email over the weekend about election signs, and it's a very, very touchy situation, so I wanted to make sure that you could read our town law and see exactly what it says and what needs to be changed, or nothing needs to be changed. So what's the outcome of our town law?
As it turns out, there's no regulations to them in residential districts, just in LB and the ORIP districts, in which case they have to be taken down within 2 weeks of the election or the event that they were for. Most other municipalities that we represent typically have a time period. It's usually, they can go up 30 days before an election and have to come down within 2 weeks after, although a couple of those time periods may vary. If the board would like, I can put together a law. It's currently in the zoning, so it's something that we can also discuss as we go through the process. But I can put together a law consistent with some of the surrounding municipalities and present it to the board for their review if you'd like.
Okay, I don't know what anyone's thoughts. Obviously, we're in the height of election season now. I did get 2 phone calls about signs, and I did get an email yesterday. I think the village has one on the books for 30 days, 30 days before and within a week after or something, but I don't know what anyone's thought. I mean, obviously, we're in the middle of doing the master plan ordinance, so I just think after a while, people get tired of looking at the signs. I don't know if it's something we want. Obviously, nothing's gonna change for this particular election, but moving forward, I don't know if we wanna have something on the books for the length of time before or after. I know traditionally, the day after election, we see 99% of the signs down after a general election.
So David, currently we address it in the zoning, but we don't have a local law.
No, it's in the zoning, so it would have been adopted by local law. The applicability of it is only to 2 zoning districts at the moment. So obviously you'd want a law that expands that a little further.
I don't know what anyone's thought is. I mean, is it just me, or do we wanna look at it for future elections, or?
We can look at it.
I think it's something we should address.
It should be addressed. If it's coming up as a concern, we should, do what we need to do.
Okay. So maybe you could write up something, David, and we'll take a look at it and at least get it passed for the next.
Bob, could you send us a copy of the village's local law that addresses it?
Certainly could.
Highway budget modification. Kathleen, would you please read that?
Increase revenue fund unclassified income A 2770 by $500, and increase Parks and Recreation budget A 7140.4 in the amount of $500. This reflects the proceeds from the New York State Urban and Community Forestry Council grant.
Motion to approve the budget modification as read.
I'll make the motion to approve the budget modification.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Hudson Valley Regional Council.
Me? Where should I stand?
Sure.
All right.
See, we were wrong about the date, Kathleen.
Hudson Valley Regional Council. My name is Nicholas Moran. I'm very pleased to be here. I work at the Hudson Valley Regional Council, and I'm here primarily to talk to you about the Clean Energy Communities Program. It's a program that NYSERDA started last year in August. And it's been a very successful program and a very good program. And I'm available with my colleagues at the Hudson Valley Regional Council to provide technical assistance to the town for action items under the program. And there's 10 action items that the NYSERDA wants you to complete. And if you do 4 of those 10 action items, you get designated as a clean energy community. The nice thing about this, well, so I'll start with the bad news. The bad news, as of right now, all the grants that were awarded for completing the 4 actions have been allocated. That doesn't mean that's not going to change in the future. We don't know yet, but there is free technical assistance, and a lot of these action items do save money and can, be economic drivers. I'll just start with a brief overview. So first of all, we work in the Mid-Hudson region, and this is by Economic Development Council region. So this is the Mid-Hudson, 7 counties, so you don't have to compete with the rest of the state. And you're also segmented into small and medium municipalities, which are under 40,000, and then large, so it's a little bit easier to complete if you're a smaller municipality, and the requirements are different. So the town of Mount Hope would be under the small. Also, it comes with free technical assistance. That's me. I can come here to the town, help you complete these actions, guide you, and as we are a regional council, we, keep track of all of the different state incentives and are really good at paperwork and figuring out all these complicated things that, don't make sense. So that's that. And so we'll go over the 10 things, the 10 little action items. Two, I understand Mount Hope can't complete. I'll just go in order, and I'll mention that. So first on the list of 10 is benchmarking. And benchmarking is you adopt a policy that the town would monitor its energy usage for all buildings that are over 1,000 square feet. I think we talked about this, it's not too many buildings, and I could help with entering this data. NYSERDA wants you to use EPA Portfolio Manager, and what this helps you do is you see your portfolios and you see, okay, our buildings, this building from 1940 performs a lot worse than all other buildings in the United States at 1940. What's wrong with this building? And can we figure out to save some energy, seal it up? And there's lots of different monies and incentives to help do that, which brings us to the second one. The second item is the clean energy upgrades. And that is exactly after you do the first part, you figure out what are the upgrades you want to do to these buildings, or do we want to do solar or other things that will reduce our energy, or reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 10%. So there's different ways to do that, and New York Power Authority can work with municipalities to implement energy efficiency upgrades, and other private contractors are also available. The third one is LED street lights, and I understand that Mount Hope has no Copperhead street lights.
Village does.
The village does.
Village does.
Right, so we can go talk to the village about that if they're interested. So I won't talk much about that. So you don't have a streetlight bill, that's great, save a lot of money. That's that.
So we already met the qualification.
You're right, right? Well, there should be actually an incentive for that, just having no streetlights. It's very green. Unfortunately, yeah. 4 is clean fleets. This is either purchasing a level 2 charging station with 2 ports. And they just re-released the DEC's grant, which we can help with. It's 20% match, which can be in kind for a charging station. Or the other way to meet this requirement for this one is to purchase an alternative fuel vehicle, either lease it for 36 months or purchase plug-in electric hybrid or all battery electric vehicle. And right now there's a up to $2,000 point of purchase rebate that all consumers as well as municipalities can get at participating dealerships. And I'm not sure if there's any participating dealership or any dealerships that are not participating. It would make sense. But, 5th on the list is Solarize. This is a campaign to basically educate the public to go solar. And the process is you get a bunch of volunteers. The town would be responsible to promote it, do press releases, and try to drum up support. And with the help of people in Orange County who have been doing this is Solarize Hudson Valley. It's in a process of change. They're going to move towards community solar, I understand, in the future. But basically what happens is we select some reputable solar installers, and the solar installers, once after being selected, they have informational sessions, they educate the public, and then you get a discount because you're doing their work for them, because it costs quite a bit of money for the solar companies to find customers and actually make the sale. So, and it's a reputable company, so it really helps make the case for solar. The 6th one, the Unified Solar Permit. Now, this is a permit that just got updated again in October, or I forget exactly what the date was, but it was last fall. And the town of Mount Hope does have the Unified Solar Permit, but the earlier iteration of it. So, NYSERDA really wants people to use the new one. It bumps up the kilowatt, the small scale to 25 kilowatt hours to 12, and it also applies instead now not just to roof mounted, but also ground mounted and pole mounted. And so basically the idea is that there's a checklist, and it's if you're not in a historic district or other zoning district where there's restrictions on solar, that you just go down the checklist, and then it should be simple process, a fee structure involved, and then the building department issues your building permit, and you're good to go. 7, energy code enforcement training. That's a free training provided to the municipality on behalf of NYSERDA and a contractor. All you need to do is sign up to the building inspector, code enforcer, and 2 other municipal officials. That would be building board of appeals, building planning board, people who are either staff or appointed to some sort of board. And you do 2 site plans. That can be commercial and residential, or just all residential. And you do the class, and afterwards you get a little certificate, and you've gotten a little bit more guidance on the energy code, which can be pretty difficult as far as I understand the commercial. 8th is the Climate Smart Community Certification. Climate Smart Community Certification is a DEC program that was launched a few years ago, and it's quite a challenging program. They call it a leadership program, but it's a very worthwhile program, and it does have a lot of different components to it. And you need to earn 120 points, and I can help with that, to get certified. And so Sullivan County just got certified a few weeks ago, and they had a little press release. They got Clean Energy Communities designated and Climate Smart Communities certified, so they had a press release a few weeks ago. It's a very worthwhile program. We can talk about that more in the future. 9, community choice aggregation. Community choice aggregation, the basic idea is that you pass a local law that on an opt-out basis, you'll basically purchase electricity for all your residents. So right now, we're in deregulation, except that most people don't really participate. You move to Mount Hope, you get here, and we're O&R, right? You basically go to you buy a new house, you basically are signing up with O&R by default. Unless you choose an ESCO, you're buying O&R power. So this, instead, this would be like, welcome to Mount Hope Power, or whatever you want to call it. We're purchasing green energy. And that's what NYSERDA wants. NYSERDA wants you to buy 100% renewable energy, or at least offer that. This can also help in the future. We're not quite there yet. It's a little bit, it's in a state of flux, but in the future this could make it easier to do local solar projects, because then you could say, well, Mount Hope wants to buy from local solar projects, for our, whatever 20 megawatt hours that we buy here, whatever that is. So that would make it a lot easier to keep jobs locally and support renewables. But that's the future, possible. And then the last one, Energize New York Finance. This is not applicable. The county enabled this legislation. This is basically the PACE financing, property assessed clean energy. So what it means is if you don't have quite the capital, the money to put up for a new boiler or whatever, you can put that on your property tax bill and pay it off over 20 years. So that goes with the property. So you don't have to put out the money in front. So that's only available to municipalities that have taxing authorities, that have the county. And that's the program. And I'd love to hear if anybody has any questions about the program. Pretty quick rundown. Yes?
Are you the only municipality rep, or are you the community service rep? We've made contact, we're the community center that was just purchased, and we've talked to NYSERDA about being part of the community solar program. Our building is 33,000 square feet with a roof structure that we have solar guys drooling to put that on there. We're working with O&R, the new substation, but if there's stuff available, our property is in the village, which is part of the town. We could be contributing towards the town's points and certifications. So, if that's you, can we talk? And if not,
we should talk, because we approached, because NYSERDA is quite a large entity that doesn't really talk, and so we're subcontractor. So we're a subcontractor, and PV, the PV Trainers Network in New York Sun, they're very interested in trying to help large scale solar and help municipalities guide them in making decisions about solar, and if they have the experts, what should you do? Should you have a pilot? Should you not? What are the regulatory issues? What are, all sorts of different, they have the architecture experts, the lawyers, the engineers and people. So they were really interested in having us, because we go to municipalities and they don't quite always understand understand that, you know, like a hamlet is in a town and doesn't have its own planning board. So, we should talk, yeah. But I work in Orange and Sullivan counties. My colleagues, you know, another colleague takes Westchester and Rockland, another Dutchess, Ulster, and Putnam.
And your last name, I just can't see it.
Moran.
Moran, thank you.
Moran. I have my card and there's a little.
Thank you.
Do you have a couple cards you can leave if anyone?
Yeah, I'll
wants
leave
to?
it. I'll leave it full.
Does anyone from the board, we met in detail, Nicholas and I
Yeah.
met in detail. That's the packets I gave out a couple of weeks ago. And we were kind of off by what lady was coming, but that's okay. Does anyone have any questions for us? Right?
No.
Anybody in the audience have any questions for?
Do you have his information on the web?
I do not. I can, but I don't as of right this second.
Right.
Yeah. So we can actually move, if you give your information to Kathleen, she should put it right on the website, she'll make sure.
Thank you.
Put it done right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Halloween curfew. Have that all ready to go?
Can you read it?
Would you please?
Motion and a second that anyone under the age of 18 must be off town roads after 9 p.m. from October 27th, 2017 through November 1st, 2017, unless they are accompanied by a parent or guardian 21 years of age or older, or if they are coming to or from a work assignment or school activity.
Paul, you good with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Motion to approve the,
I'll make the motion, we approve the curfew for Halloween.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Cypress Creek removals. Motion to approve the supervisor's report for August 2017.
I'll make the motion, we approve the supervisor's report.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sir, you're from the county, right?
Yes, sir.
Come on up, you wanna, I think there might be a few people here that may wanna hear what you have to say.
Where would you like me to start?
Well, yeah, how about your name first?
Okay, my name is Chris Carney. I'm the Communications System Specialist for Orange County Department of Emergency Services. I'm part of the project. We're building a new radio system project within Orange County. Part of it is landing in the town of Mount Hope at our Grand Tower site off of Marianne Drive. So let's back up to where we are today. Our current radio system is a little rough. It's made up of multiple radio systems. Coverage is horrible at best. I'm sure the chief can attest, I don't mean to put you on the spot, can attest just coverage in this area is really tough. We put in an additional radio system to help them, and it was probably worse than the system that we tried fixing. 2 of our 6 systems that we have in the county are coming end of life. One of them is so old, the parts are almost as old as I am, and they're starting to fail and we can't find replacements. So we started a new radio system project. What that's gonna do is tie all of our emergency services, police, fire, EMS, into one radio system. And that will allow us to end of life our other 6 radio systems that we have, kind of patched and Band-Aid and duct taped together. It's a multi-million-dollar project. Of that, about $127,000 of subscriber radio units, which are the mobile radios that'll go in the cars, or the portable radios, or base station radios that'll go with the police station, the firehouse, will come to the public safety agencies here, the Mount Hope Police and Otisville Fire Department. Where do you want to go from there?
All right, so we as a municipality received some complaints through the building department that a tower was being built without a permit or without any kind of notification to the town. I believe our building department then talked to the assessor to find out who owned the property, and then there was an existing tower, and that was through Citizens Communication there now. Citizens.
Okay. So the existing tower that's there now is in fact on county property. There's a little confusion between the property lines, and the existing tower is currently on Orange County property, and the new tower we're building is about 7 feet away. It's on the same parcel.
Okay, so the confusion came in when the assessor's map looked as if it wouldn't be on county property. So if it wasn't on county property, then obviously this person was building a tower without any kind of permit or anything like that. So a stop work order was issued. Very shortly after, we realized it was the county. They came down, you came down, right? You came down with all of the stuff. I think a little bit of communication on both ends would have probably been a little bit, you know. My suggestion to who I talked to at the county and also with the building department, I mean, like you go down the road and you see the sign that says, you know, this bridge is gonna be closed from this date to this date. You know, a little thing up there like, hey, from this date to this date, we're gonna be putting this big tower up. It just kinda, everything kinda came quick, and I think some people were nervous and scared and like, what's going on? They're doing it without a permit. Well, the county doesn't need to get a permit from the town. It's on their property. So, because the complaints started piling up, we thought it would be awesome if somebody came here, because we kind of thought we were going to get people here at the meeting saying, what's going on with that tower? So, that's kind of where we are in land.
Jack, can I just throw out, so just so everyone knows, currently on zone 1, which would be this side of 211, we have areas where we have no communication at all. So we go out where there's no, so if you go into Mark Lane, you know, all the way out there, Spruce Road, New Vernon Road, there's no radio communication coverage currently. So this new system will correct that. I'm on one of the committees. There's multiple committees that are working on this. I'm on the police channel plan committee. So this will resolve all of those issues, or that's at least what Motorola is telling us. So now where we can't communicate even via a car radio with this new system, supposedly, we're gonna be able to communicate with a portable radio. So this also will save us quite a bit of money. And as the fact that the county dispatches us, this will be a big improvement for us and the fire department. The county at no cost to us is gonna supply all the radios to us, and not only Otisville, but also all the fire departments, including Howes. So this actually is in response to some of the issues that not only the police, but the fire department and EMS have had over the years, where we just can't communicate.
Chris, I'm sorry, I just wanted to add one thing to you. I know you work at the 911 center, so thank you for that, but I'll explain that after the meeting if I talk to you. We had a moon festival here this weekend, and I found it interesting that when I walked in, there's a huge banner up, and there's a gentleman collecting signatures against this project. So I went over and talked to him. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm gonna tell you. So I was told that they collected over 300 signatures from residents. I think that obviously some people didn't know that it's what it's for, obviously. I think there's both sides of this. Obviously, a lot of people were just thought that someone was throwing something up without permits or anything else. I just want you to know that piece, because I don't know if you knew that piece or not. I stopped by and I talked to the guy and I said to him, like, listen, there's a flip side to this. This is for communications for the police department and for the fire departments that are here, that there's dead spots here, like dead spots. And so I'm just curious if you hear that part, but I just wanted to put that in there. Like, I don't know if there's anyone in the audience that's gonna talk about getting signatures, but they had a huge banner up, informative, you know, with pictures and stuff, but I just wanted to tell you that, that's all.
I think too, just so, I mean, I mentioned it probably for 6 years now. I think this tower has been in the planning stages probably, I mean, you can give the exact, probably at least 7 years.
Almost, yeah.
You know, so this is not something just.
This happened overnight.
Yeah, and I also went up to them at the table, and they made their impression was like this was something that, boom, just got approved. And I said, well, I've been on the committee, and I think this tower is about 7 years in the planning stages. So, you know, again, for everyone, you would probably have the exact date, but it's in that vicinity.
Really close to 7 years.
So it's not, again, something that we just, threw up there.
Can you elaborate on the size of this?
Sure.
What are you
So,
talking?
Marion Drive is off the Mount Hope Road.
Guy Martin.
Off the Guymar Turnpike, it's up where a fire tower is, there's some parkland up there.
On Mountain Road, I'm sorry, she's
Off
correct,
of
it's
Mountain
Mountain
Road.
Road.
the house.
Yes.
It's gonna be right, it's a 200-foot tower vertical, three-legged tower, and it is right next to a 150-foot steel tower. Current plans are, as we start taking the old system off and we strip stuff off the old tower, we're gonna dismantle the old tower. So we're putting up one, but we're gonna take another one down. Currently, that tower is only planned for public safety use. Police, fire, EMS. We have no current plans putting cellular stuff up there. However, with that being said, I will say there's a national initiative called FirstNet, which is a national-wide public safety broadband system. If that comes down, they say, hey, you know, this is gonna be a really good spot, we're gonna have to break down and put up their technology up there, which they use 4G cellular type technology. I think it's far enough behind the trees. I think that most people probably won't even see the steel that goes up. The tower will actually be complete in about 3 weeks. So probably by your next town board meeting, you'll either see it in the sky or you won't. I'd like to go back to a little bit, like the chief said about coverage. Our current radio system off of a mobile radio is somewhere like 72 or 73%. If I'm the guy wrestling with the guy on the street, I don't like that number. The new radio system, Motorola guarantees portable coverage, radio on the hip at 95%. So that means 95% of the time, on 95% of the property within Orange County, that radio will work. I've seen the coverage maps. You have to understand, I live, breathe, and eat this project. So I kind of have the coverage maps committed to memory. I'm pretty sure there's not a single road in all of Orange County that is not covered. We're gonna have to go up into the woods where generally people aren't there anyway to not have that coverage. Sir?
Yeah, I'm from Dragon Spring on the other side of the mountain. And we can see currently, I mean, on the top, we can see the current tower.
Okay.
And I believe I saw also the drawing from Orange County, that was 300 feet.
Okay.
It's close to 300 something. If the 300 feet up there is twice as high, I mean, we can see it on the other side, then it will be much higher than what you have. I mean,
How-
this is gonna be
How old are the drawings that you saw?
It's in the building department.
Okay. So the original plans for that tower is 274 feet. We have to file with the FAA because we are up into the airspace at that point. Anything over 200 feet needs to get approval by the FAA. We got approval from the FAA. It took us so long, actually, to finally get to the construction phase that permit had expired, and we had to renew it. And at that point, the FAA had limited us to 200 feet. So the drawings still say 300 feet, but we're only putting 200 feet of steel up in there. I'd be very, you can see the top of the tower from Dragon Springs?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm surprised.
If it's
Okay.
150, we can see it. Especially if you go to some of the buildings, you can see it. But if it's 200, it's another 50
It's another 50
higher.
feet higher, yes.
The question I have, I'm pretty sure this is very important for police communication, EMS, and all those. It's an important thing because the current technology. I was an engineer for cell phones before, and overall, why do we need such a tall building? Because it's already direct for microwave transmission already. I mean, you have redundancy going through different towers, and you have 15 towers, right? Or 16
Total
towers.
of 15 years.
So I'm asking the technical question, why do you have to build so high?
Coverage. If you look, we have an antenna at 180 feet. If I recall off the top of my head, it's a 14-foot antenna. So because of lightning protection, we have to keep the antennas below the top of the tower. Otherwise, they become the new lightning rod, and they'll fry millions of dollars worth of equipment down in the shelter. So we had to keep that below the top of the tower. It's mounted at 180 feet, plus the 14-foot antenna to still keep it underneath. We needed that coverage at the top of the tower to meet our 95%.
The engineer went through all these already?
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I actually have a
Sure.
question. And thank you, Mr. Ricard. My name is Nikki Macaluso. I live in Mount Hope, actually very close to where the tower is. And thank you for the background. I have family that are in law enforcement, so I understand and wouldn't want them in harm's way in a call in the middle of the night either. But my concern as a resident of Mount Hope is that even though this project was 7 years from the beginning, is we didn't know anything about it as residents. For 4 solid weeks or 6 weeks, we heard banging, like drilling, explosions. They dug down pretty deep, and the only reason why I found out about it is because my neighbor's dog went missing when we were looking for this dog. And we stumbled across this huge construction site, and we're like, what's going on here? You know, so I was one of the people that called the building inspector, you know, just not even understanding why they're doing this on a Saturday, and the building inspector didn't even know about it. I understand that the county may have different authority over properties, and you know, they don't have to do certain zoning things, but what kind of environmental impact studies have you guys done, especially, you know, since you're mentioning it, is if 4G is coming, and that's my concern. I'm not concerned about the radio waves that, you know, the police and law enforcement need, and 911 centers and all of that. I'm more concerned about the 4G, because every research I've done, all the new 911 towers that are going up, 4G is coming, 5G is coming, and I have a problem with that, because I'm right underneath that tower.
There's a lot of people that have a problem.
There's a lot of people, and I think that's what people that were signing the petition, I didn't even know about the booth at the Moon Festival. I didn't attend the Moon Festival. I was out of town this weekend, so I was shocked that that even was there. But I think that the people that, and I'm not gonna speak for them, I don't know if they're here, but I think that's what the concern is. It's what's coming down the pipeline. Other research I've done is that 911 towers are being put up, and then all of a sudden, whoa, like 6-12 months later, Verizon's in there. Oh, we need 5G, because there's, you know, all this grant money that we're gonna give you, and everybody wants 5G. I have a problem with that, and that's my concern as a resident. I don't know if anybody else is concerned about it. I don't know if anybody's researched it, but I have, and I'm worried.
Okay, so, all the noise that you heard, first, I'm gonna apologize for the Saturday. I did not know they were
More than
working on
one Saturday,
Saturdays.
6 Saturdays.
That's actually news to me.
It's crazy.
That's
I mean,
news to me.
nuts.
As I'm sure you know, you live on solid rock.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what that noise was they had to drill the rock out. They had to excavate 14 feet for the foundation for this tower, because God forbid this tower falls over.
I think it was more than 14 feet. The rebar was 50 feet. I measured it.
Yeah, but they bent it.
I don't know.
It's one piece is 50 feet, but they bend it to fit into a 14-foot deep hole,
Who's doing the
times
work?
3.
Is there a subcontracted out?
Yeah, it's a company called Pyramid, and this is what they do. They build tower sets. As far as your cellular concerns, if a Verizon or an AT&T were to come and say, hey, you know, we'd really like to put something up on that tower, that has to go to your zoning board. That we have no authority over. So that would definitely come down through the Mount Hope chapter.
Yeah, we don't want that at all. I mean, there's health, you know, there's health concerns, there's property value concerns, like, that's something we don't want to happen.
I will say, with the existing tower that is there, if a cell company was that interested, they would have approached this room. And I've been with the county for just about 15 years, and no cell company has ever approached us for that site.
I mean, at what point does, you know, when does it end? You know, like you're trying to put up this tower, she's voiced it, I'm sure there's other people that have voiced it. Where do we have a say? Where are we able to stop this from happening? You know, this 4G or 5G that could come down the pipe, where do we have the ability to stop this?
So you're telling me on your tower, if you want to add something to the tower, it still has to come through our board?
If it's a cellular company, yes.
So that would be different than, I mean, this isn't like Orange County owns it, we're allowed to put, because we just went through that right next door here with the train station. They came in and said, it's MTA, we own the property, we're putting up a tower, how do they say?
No, the way I understand it is, any cell company that comes in, because we're going through this in Tuxedo.
Okay.
Where we're building another tower. They, any cell company that comes in, they need to go through the zoning and building permit process.
Are there any companies that could add to it without coming to our zoning in?
No, probably not to my understanding.
David?
Not that I'm aware of. If they're gonna be changing the use of it, it would have to come before the planning board.
That's how I understand it.
For the exceptions
What
of
are-
federal government,
Yeah.
you're mentioning federal government?
I'd have to see how that works out, but probably.
Well, let me just say the federal government that built the prison on the hill there, and they said it was they swore it was way cover on crimes. Not that it matters, nobody ever gets out. But they just decided to change it to all criminals are invited now to be incarcerated there. And no question about it, they just did.
You said if a private company put the 4G or the 5G network up, they would have to come back to zoning board. Excuse me. What if it was the county that was going to install that equipment for an in-kind or something like that? Like Verizon says, listen, if the county puts up the 4G, we're gonna give all county employees new cell phones. And then the county owns that, do they have to come back to the zoning board if the county's the ones that are putting it up?
I'd like to say that the county would never get in a bed like that, but I really can't speak like that.
Something else around here.
Oh, I'm sorry, my name's Adam Gary, I live in Mount Hope.
Okay. I don't think the county, being in charge of that tower, I'm not gonna take the responsibility of putting AT&T or Verizon up there. Again, it comes back to, if we're changing the purpose for the tower, we're gonna have to come into the zone.
How are you gonna let us know? I mean, we're not all privy to when these board meetings, what's happening at them. How are we gonna know
Well,
that that's happening?
if it was to go to the zoning board, then anyone within 500 feet of the project would get a certified letter. So, that's by law, they have to do it. They have to have that before they can come to the meeting, showing they nailed it out.
Right, there's nobody there that's within 500, we're like 2,000.
It's from 500 feet from the property, so it'd be
Yeah.
from the property lines, not from the
Right, that
site itself.
doesn't really help us when we live 3,000 people. How are we gonna know this?
Aren't they printed in the paper under legal notices when that, such a meeting takes part?
Absolutely.
There it is.
Well, I don't, listen, I mean, we all live here, like, I'm not looking for anyone to try to sneak one in, I mean,
This one.
as we get the information, I mean,
Right, but can't we make it a little more well-known? I mean, 500 feet, that's gonna affect maybe one person. We're the town of Mount Hope, can't you let us all know? I mean, I don't really think that sending it out in the newspaper is really all that helpful. Everybody would have to read it.
That parcel's landlocked and used by a right-of-way, correct? So the borders of that property, of that parcel, 53-1, you're not gonna hit that. In other words, there's nobody that's going to get a mailing.
Right.
There's one house there on Marion, that's.
One.
last
Within
one.
500?
Nothing
Nobody lives
about
there
it.
though. I don't think there's
I
anybody
have a
there.
question,
Yes.
Mr. Carney. What, in terms of public relations to the county, what has been done with any of these towers that are going up within the county? Has there anything, here's a letter to the municipality, we're gonna build a tower, where the construction date is, has there been anything from the county's end to notify anybody, not just the municipality, a homeowner, or property, or anything?
Yes, however, I don't know if I could speak 100% to it. It's actually my previous boss, from what I understand, visited several town boards, I would say at least 5 years ago when we started this project, when we looked to build towers at these sites.
But nothing in terms of the construction's going on, or anything in that regard? Okay.
I
I think
hammering on
the
Saturday
county
night.
dropped the ball on that, because currently we're, not that it has any effect with you, but the Indigo Reservoir property, the easement with the city of Middletown, and they're gonna pump 1 million gallons of water a day. We've gotta babysit that like a hawk, because in my opinion, the county and the city are in bed to push this through without anybody knowing. So I'm one of 5 people here, I'm one of 7,000 in some of the town. I think the county doesn't have a good track record of public relations. It irritates me because 5 people sit here and have however many people complaining, asking questions, and we look like fools. Because the county wants to do this construction on a Saturday, and well, now there's a tower there. Well, that's nice. I understand the aspect from emergency services, and I know of, some family members in the volunteer fire company. They want to see it come on, but the people that live here also want to see it done the proper way. So I think if it's anything you can do with the project tower, or anyone else further back in the county, they need to know there's a public relations
I will bring your concerns back in the
problem.
I will bring your concerns back in.
So thank you.
Chris, not to beat you up, but when the MTA came, they met myself and Chad, and they told us you can't do anything to stop us, but we're here to let you know we're gonna start this project in a couple weeks, and in case you get any calls about it. And that's basically what they, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating, that's what they said. You can't stop us, but you have no authority over us, but we're just letting you know in case you see this big tower going up and.
And they did tell us that they're probably gonna add things to it.
Right, and they told us, right, we're gonna add Verizon, or we're in negotiations with some cell phone companies, and you got no control of that either, because
Yep.
we're the state. So.
You know,
At
and
least they
I
were
think
open
that's the
about it.
thing. I mean, obviously, everyone, as wherever you live in the county, everyone bought their house in a certain place because they kind of liked the character and everything that went along with it. And I think, again, it's just communication. I think it's just.
And I actually don't live too far from the tower myself. I'm right in Slate Hill, just the other side of my home.
Well, 15 miles.
You guys didn't know anything about the 7-year plan?
But wait a minute, I mean, I've spoken about this for 7 years, this was going forward, that they're building, they're gonna replace the tower. I've never, I mean, if you've been in the audience, you've heard me speak about it, you just never realized that.
The upgrade of the radio system's been going on for 3 years, and the county's been talking about it for 3 years. So we knew that we were gonna get new radios, we knew that Dean was gonna get new radios. We knew all that was in the process, it's just nobody said, by the way, next week, we're gonna start a tower.
Right.
I mean, we knew the process.
Exactly.
It's been in the process for many years, I mean, we knew it.
Because I think if I heard about a 200-foot tower, I would have.
Right, I think, what I said was the tower was being replaced, I never got into technical details because I was not privy to
Is
those
it
things.
only one tower?
It's only one tower.
You're not gonna go ahead and do 5 or 6 more someplace else, you don't know that?
How come when we asked?
Well, hang on, one tower there, they are doing a bunch more towers throughout the
There's
county.
a total of 15 across the entire county.
Right.
In this area, just the one.
And that one is gonna give us 95% coverage.
Yes, that one.
What have you been doing for 7 years that you can't get out there and listen?
And there's, Mount Hope isn't covered all by one tower, so that tower is gonna increase, but other towers that are part of the system will help us because of the geography
What
of
have you
where
been
we're at.
doing for 7 years that you can't get a radio signal out that way?
We just hope that.
Hope
we
and
don't-
pray.
That's it.
That's not hope.
It's not just us, Walk Hill's in the same boat, the state police in the same boat, it's just the topography, it doesn't work in the
County
area.
is awful.
But the radios, I understand a little bit about this, and I'm not against the actual 901 use, it's the private use of the 4G, 5G. But even in the city of Middletown, 5 square miles, we don't have good radio service with the tallest towers and the tallest buildings. It's, you just don't get it. There's dips, there's valleys, there's other things, more technology, more power lines, more power plants, all this stuff affects radio transmissions. That's not my problem. The problem is, what are you going to do to prevent these private entities from working their way in for that health outage
Can't go on our towers unless we say yes.
without us saying yes, the ZBA or the planning board?
Yeah, any cell needs to come to the zoning. But again, I want to reiterate, this tower is intended for public safety use.
I just wanted to throw one thing out to you. We record all of our meetings. You can go on the webpage, you can go on Facebook and watch our meetings. That's one thing that we do. So it's not the 25 people in here watching this. I'm not disagreeing with you that you're not gonna watch every single meeting to find out when this happens, but it's kind of a surprise to, I know when I got contacted, it was kind of a surprise to me when I kind of learned about it too.
I found out at 6:30 tonight.
If a cell company's gonna put,
Thank you, I said.
gonna ask you to put something on your tower, and you have to come to the planning board, town board,
They do,
they do.
whatever that company is.
How long before that are they gonna notify them to let them know we wanna come to this, you know, to the next meeting?
Well, they have
I'm
to
not
get
sure I
put on the
understand your
agenda.
How long does the process
Planning
take?
board
Yeah, how long does the
process.
process take? I mean, if they wanna put it, you know, if they wanna have this meeting, and it's the day before,
No.
No.
There's a whole process.
Yeah, they'd have to be on the agenda. I think that it's 2 weeks before the meeting, you have to signal you're gonna be on the agenda. Even if they were moving forward with the process, they're still gonna have to make sure their site plans are up to date.
Mhm.
You're gonna have to schedule a public hearing. So it's not something that's gonna happen in a 2-day span. You're looking at 2 to 3 to possibly 6 months to actually get a project like that.
and how can we get you guys then to let us know, so that we can come here?
The zoning board meetings are as needed the first Wednesday of every month.
Right.
So,
But we all work.
Are the
You know, we
agendas
can't-
posted ahead of time, Janet, on the website? The zoning board agendas?
yeah, okay.
Are they?
Yes.
They
Yes.
are.
We have a
So I mean, I
liaison
would
to the
check the
zoning
website
board,
and I
but
would
she
check
doesn't
the
attend
agenda of the
the
zoning
meetings.
board every,
Because it's not every month, it's just when something comes up.
but that's easy enough to check the website.
Yeah,
If the
yeah.
upcoming agenda is posted. that's good.
It'll be on there.
And the planning
Yeah,
board
I mean,
agendas
that's
are
if
on
they're
there.
And the
gonna
planning board
for
also.
somebody, yeah.
And it's still a process. Again, they'll have to come, they'll schedule a public hearing,
Mhm.
and then that ad will go in, they'll have to have the public hearing. I've been at plenty of public hearings that they've actually kept open to the next month, because for whatever reason, not enough people came, too many concerns, they weren't sure, and the board, it'll be a different board than us. The zoning board would then, take everybody's concerns.
One last thing, so if you guys knew for 7 years, how come when phone calls were made and we asked questions about what's going on up there, it was, oh, we can't tell you that, we can't discuss that?
If someone would have called the police department, I would have told anyone the information that I knew. Again, when I say we knew for 7 years, we knew the project was going. I personally knew the tower was being replaced.
Mhm.
I don't have the technical, I didn't realize a permit expired, they got a new one for a lesser height, but nobody called the police department. I mean, I spoke to a gentleman the other day.
Right, but we kind of expect the town board to know what's going on as well, you know? I
Who
mean,
told you that?
Well, it's the same thing, we weren't notified either that it was going up this week. You know, I mean, that's how it got found, when you guys called the building department looked on the maps and said, you know,
But you
there's
guys
a problem
you
here.
didn't know at all that this was even happening?
No.
Not this week, no, nobody was told that we were gonna start an hour on such and such a date.
No, and the whole thing is that as soon as I was made aware, I went up, and then after I went up, I got in contact with the county, and then we've been moving forward since then. But until we were notified, none of us knew what was going on. I think that is where the county just dropped the ball, not making us aware that the project was starting, And then once we did, you guys were forthcoming with bringing plans, and they said that they're gonna provide us with inspection reports as the project moves forward,
Yeah, when I say I knew it was coming, I didn't know they were starting on this exact date, or this week, or this month even. It was something that, I think the last update we got was it was gonna be starting in the next quarter.
And that's fine, it's, it's just, it's a little weird and disturbing when you we call and we ask you guys what's going on, and you can't tell us anything. It makes it seem like you're hiding something. And that's a concern. It makes it seem like, all right, yeah, the radio tower's gonna go up, that's great. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. It's, we're hiding it for as long as we can so that the cell tower can happen, And that's what we're concerned about.
But I don't understand.
Listen, I understand your point. I can tell you flat out, when I was contacted, I asked Julie first. I was just down at the Fire Training Center, which there's one in Goshen, just one up recently. So I figured that this project was going bigger than it was. I didn't know anything about when our tower was. So I'm not speaking for anyone else on this board, but I can tell you flat out, number one, I'm not hiding anything from you. Number two, if you called me and asked me a question, I would hopefully get an answer for you. And I 100% understand what you're saying, because if I was sitting there, I'd probably agree with you.
Yeah.
But I could say, I wasn't hiding anything from anyone, and I'm sure each one of us will probably say the same thing, but,
Who did you speak to?
Building inspectors, I guess?
That would be me.
Yes.
Right here.
But I wasn't hiding anything from anyone.
Didn't know.
Well, if you didn't know, then I guess you didn't know.
No, I
Well, that's-
obviously didn't know.
The whole thing is that the county didn't say word one. County said nothing about any of this, except the fact that you knew about this X amount of years, it's been in the process, but nobody was notified that this is what we're doing today or next week. Nobody knew anything. So yeah, when you call the town and the town official says, I can't give you any information, not meaning to say, I'm hiding it and I don't want to tell you. I can't give you any information because I don't have any information.
Well, they sent
Okay.
it down not quick enough.
I mean,
Yeah, but that's because, like I said, I found out at 6:30 tonight.
Oh, it was on,
Okay.
it was on Facebook.
It was on Facebook.
Well, I think if you play it back, you know, this is the first time I've heard the Saturday thing, like, all
Yeah.
right. So if you play it back with everything that you've told us, it seems like somebody's trying to do like a weekend warrior thing, and absolutely, I totally understand it.
And
but I-
honestly, if I wouldn't have went on Facebook, I wouldn't have known either. I mean, I physically had to type her and say, call me. I need to know what's going on.
The county government needs to change, not necessarily.
Well, the county does have everything on the website, right? From Brennan's, whatever he's doing, allocate funds, but there's nothing with the construction schedule. That's what I haven't been able to find anything,
We
because
try
you
and
said it's a.
update, we try and update quarterly. We're probably due, we had a little bit of time that.
But that's
there
not
was a
posted
lot
on the
going
county's website. The only thing that I could find were, you know, approvals, grant acceptance approvals, you know, money transfers, but no construction schedule.
It's probably buried pretty deep in the website.
The county executive's always been touting this project
Yeah.
as this is the project they're submitting to the state as a cost-sharing project. This is Orange County's project. So they've been talking about it in the newspaper and on TV, but they, I don't think, in those press releases got down into the weeds and said, oh yeah, that includes a new tower in Mount Hope that's gonna be 50 foot higher. So this is, like, he's been touting this as a pretty big project and a pretty big win for the municipalities, because they're gonna be offsetting quite a bit of our costs as we move forward in this project, so.
And shouldn't the county, just for purposes, let the town know? Why wouldn't they let them know?
I agree with you, and I will take that back to the bosses.
Who's the
Because now the
boss?
town government's getting blamed.
Who's the boss?
My boss would be Commissioner of Emergency Services, Brendan Casey.
Okay. So we can write letters to Mr. Casey?
Sir?
And
Go
expect
ahead.
to get an answer?
I don't know about expecting an answer, but you can certainly.
I was hoping, I didn't know, remember?
I mean, as crazy as this sounds, some of this project, I mean, not to get in the weeds with it again, but it depends on the leaves on the trees, you know, in terms of.
Yeah, where they fall.
No, not even that, where the system can be tested, so a lot of it's trying to be timed to all those kind of factors, believe it or not.
Sir, yes.
So communication issues aside, I think one of the things we're wrestling with, myself included, I live south of the tower, is a tower is something that can house potentially dangerous technologies. One of the ones we would be most concerned about these days is 5G. 10 years from now, who knows what's going to be on the market. And I guess I'm still a little concerned with, I understand if Verizon comes, they would have to go before the board, that's helpful. What are all the possible ways a dangerous technology can be out there? The most obvious ways would be a private company or the federal government. And I think we're just wrestling with this concern that we now have a mechanism on which dangerous technology can be put. And I don't think we're feeling real confident that we have the ability to stop something like that. And so that's one of the main concerns I feel, my neighbors feel. And I think that's what we're talking about here. Again, even if you guys came in here and said, you know, communication was crystal clear, we knew exactly what was happening, we'd still be in this situation. And I just wanted to clarify that that's a main point of concern. Of course, today it's emergency services, no one in the right mind is going to disagree with that. The question is, what is possible technically on that tower, and how could it get there? So I think that's an open question. The second thing I wanted to add to the discussion here, though, is I don't know I'm relatively new to the area. I don't know what the ridgeline protections are for this area, but the height of this tower means it's gonna visually loom over that ridge. Does it have to be so high? And if we have ridgeline protections, how did we get past that? How did that not kick in and perhaps bring this tower down a little bit?
The county is exempt from our zoning.
Completely.
You said it had to be so high for the antenna to be at the point where it wouldn't be the lightning rod. So it's not about the height. You couldn't lower the tower just for aesthetic purposes without getting the percentage coverage.
It would lower our coverage within the county.
Right, and that's calculated across the 15 towers as in one set of coverage.
Yes.
Mine's easy. Which Motorola tactical radios? What are we using?
I'm sorry, which
Which
Motorola?
radio did you guys select?
Depends on the discipline, police, fire, EMS. Most of the agencies are getting the APX 6000 portable or the APX 6500 mobile. EMS is getting the APX 4000 portable and the 6500.
None of the LX versions.
No LX versions.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I just want to add one thing. Follow up with people in the county. You have your legislator, your county exec, anyone else you can reach out to. Obviously, listen, coming here, you didn't really get an answer, and I get that, but you're hearing full blunt what obviously we're going to tell you. And Chris, thank you for coming out and explaining that.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome. Yes, Chris, thank
Nice to meet
you.
you.
It was very helpful. I've gone to the 2 rounds. If any further questions after tonight, funnel them through your town board. They have my contact information, and I'm sure they'll forward it to me.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Does that mean no one can call the county directly and ask questions?
If I had my business cards, I'd give them to you, but I brought the wrong.
Is there a way to,
You guys
That means we
You
can.
can go
some
county.
kind of stipulation?
Take a look at it. I'll let you know.
Set by. Who sets the stipulation for public notices, David, like with the planning?
It would be the town. I mean, the state sets the bare minimum and then the town can go
We
above
can
that if it
enhance
chooses
that.
to.
Okay.
But I want to be able to confirm that before I give you a final answer.
So there's a possibility for the ZBA, we could ask for a larger notification as far as.
And I don't see any reason why the board wouldn't be able to post those on the website as well. I mean, I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do with them as well.
And your social media pages?
I have a question about that. Would it be something that you would do for anything that went in front of the ZBA or planning board, or would it be maybe just tower related, or how?
Well, I think you're gonna have a tough time implementing it for one and not everything else. I think that the problem is or at least from my standpoint, the more discretion you put into something, the more liability you're also creating. If it's a flat across the board rule that they have to follow for every application, that's a better situation for the town to be in. But I wanna do a little research on it before I say anything for certain.
Perfect.
If our liaison was attending zoning and planning board meetings, and brought back
Bobby,
information.
Jesus, you gonna start?
Yes. That's not being done.
Public participation.
There you go.
State your name and call it out. Oh, I thought I did the supervisor.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, I gotta pay the bill. Motion to pay the bill. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public participation.
All right, I'll go.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be really quick and hopefully a happy piece of news. The Old School Community Center is holding a Trick or Treat fundraiser Saturday, October 21st at the new Otisville Elementary School on Mount Hope Road. Doors open at 5 o'clock. The calling is at 6:30. We already have a lot of sponsorship and donations. We are welcoming additional donations, but really we just hope people come. It's free admission, it's family friendly, refreshments will be served, and we hope to see a lot of people there.
10:21?
10:21, 5 p.m. at the new elementary school.
In the cafeteria or?
In the cafeteria and or the gymnasium, we haven't nailed that down, but it'll be in one of those two or three locations.
The doors open then and then calling is,
Doors open at 5, calling is at 6:30.
Perfect.
So join us, yes, thanks.
Relatedly, my name is Bob Klaus, I'm the president of Friends of the Municipal School Incorporated. This weekend, the alumni will be touring the facility Saturday and Sunday. And we'll be up there all weekend, and if anybody from the community is around and wants to stop by and visit, we'd be happy to take you on a tour, take a look at it, explain what we're doing. We're also seeking volunteers for our committees. We have a building committee that handles the building and the physical plant, grounds committees, because we have about 5 acres to maintain, a media and marketing committee, and the fundraising committee. So if any of the residents are interested in helping out, just contact us, and we'll get together with the committee chairman, and we'll be happy to use your help. Be happy to accommodate you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Sorry, I'm Dr. Roeder. I'm just putting a reminder out there that we are holding a rabies and microchip clinic for dogs and cats. It'll be on Saturday, September 30th, runs from noon till 3. It is a $10 donation for the rabies. It's $25 for the microchipping. If your dog is currently licensed in the town of Mount Hope, there's no charge for the rabies vaccine itself.
Thank you. Does the chip hurt when they do that?
It's a bigger needle than your vaccinations would be, but it's an injectable needle.
Okay.
Last time Tom made up flyers to put out, did he do that again, or is he not involved in this?
This is separate. This is separate from the town. We're doing it as a favor to the town and the town residents, but it is specifically a fundraiser for Waiting and Hope, which is a
So,
nonprofit.
do you want us to advertise it on our site or on our sign?
I believe it's on the website. I think that Tom put it on the website.
On the website, I can put it on the board out front.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Doc, where is it? Where are you doing it?
It's at the barn.
At your place.
Anybody else? All right, so David, you want to go over these 2 things I forgot?
Sure. The first one was a resolution, or actually it's 2 resolutions because it's 2 separate properties, regarding a solar facility application that was before the planning board. New York state law and the real property law permits the town to require a pilot agreement for those solar facilities. This was negotiated by my partner Glenn, and I believe the last meeting which he attended finalized with the board. So we would need a motion to adopt the resolutions as written regarding the pilot agreements, pending, basically a condition would be updated meets and bounds descriptions of the properties provided by the applicant. We've been working on it today. We believe that they actually have the meets and bounds, they just weren't able to produce them today. We expect it by the end of the week.
A motion to approve what you just said.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So does this give me authorization?
Do we have to give them authorization to sign? So that's part of this.
And that's part of that, basically. By adopting the resolution, you're giving them the power. And then the second had to do with a disciplinary matter with a town employee. You would be adopting the resolution as read, resolving the matter.
Do we have to go to executive session for that?
Do that.
You know, you have to vote on it in public.
Are you making a motion, Dominic?
Everybody's read it, right, and it's been approved it before?
Glenn should have discussed that with you at the last meeting also.
Great, yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to resolve the conflict.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And by doing that, it authorizes me to sign it?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Board comments? Let's start with you, Matt.
Just a little informational piece. I got a flyer in the mail, because I have a daughter at Otisville Elementary, and just one of probably 15 bullet points in our informational flyer for new parents. It says, "Why are the police cars parked in the school parking lot?" Just to recover from last meeting. The town of Mount Hope police officers are sometimes present at arrival and dismissal throughout the day when they are available, as the chief very detailed and explained at the last meeting. We're happy to have the local police become familiar with the building and happy to answer any questions from our students. I would guess they would also take questions from the parents, not written, but if, I know he's not in attendance, but little information from the school district to pass along to you. So that's all this evening.
I'm gonna ask the board that I need another meeting to finish getting the proposals on the fence for the park that I discussed last meeting. I was able to get one of them, from the, local fence company. I'm working on the other two, and I should have something by next meeting.
That's it?
That's all I got.
Thanks, Brian. Excuse me. Janet? It's been a long time. John?
No, I have nothing to add.
Okay, I think I don't have anything else either. We did videotape, I don't know if the whole thing came out, our budget meeting today should already be posted. We have one more budget meeting before our public hearing on the budget, which will be next Monday, the 25th at 6 o'clock. We pretty much hashed everything out on the budget today, so now everything we discussed has to actually show up in numbers so that we make sure that they're all right. I encourage anyone that would like to come, it's the 25th, 6 o'clock here. And that's it. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
It's like One second, man. Nice to meet you. Hold on one second.